Hi everyone, welcome to another one of our weekly chats. Normally we focus on social networks that are grown right here in America, but there are a lot of upcoming social networks from other countries in the world.
Yeah, so China in particular has been this isolated area because Facebook and Twitter are banned in China, and as a result, a lot of entrepreneurs there quickly did knockoffs. There's a Facebook knockoff, there's a Twitter knockoff, and they sort of operate only in China. So if you're in China, maybe you're using those. But what we're seeing now is that QQ, which is a Chinese social network, has an app called WeChat. It used to be, it's been rebranded to be more international. It had a Chinese name prior. They rebranded it to give it a more global feel, and it's working. They went from 50 million users outside of China to 100 million in just 4 months. And with that combined, QQ's over 1 billion monthly active users. The only other network with that claim is, of course, Facebook. So I think this is interesting. I think it's part of a larger trend of things potentially that were developed. China's the obvious solution, but in other countries that become niche, getting pervasive and U.S.-centric marketers having to be aware of them and eventually probably wanting to use them.
Yeah, and you were saying that earlier that they were knockoffs. They're making these knockoffs, but the reason that these new ones are coming along is because they offer features that you can't get from Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, so WeChat has some interesting features. So it's a little like WhatsApp. It's a little like Viber in that you can talk to your friend on it. You can chat with your friend for free. And in some countries, that's a big deal. We have a lot of instant messaging and Wi-Fi in this country, so not as big a deal here. But they have features that others don't have, like push to talk, where you just hold down a button and you say what you want, and it's delivered to your friend without voicemail. They hit a button and they just listen to it. Sort of slick. They also have shake your phone, and it'll instantly connect you to a random person somewhere else in the world who is shaking their phone at the same time. Not sure the utility of that, but it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to iterate on features, which is not something the Chinese social networks did originally when they were getting going.
Yeah, we're entering in a kind of a new era of, basically it was just Silicon Valley and maybe New York, and now it's become a global competition.
Yeah, it's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Absolutely. So in your book, Earn It, Don't Buy It, available now on Amazon, you comment on how poor Facebook advertising has become. And some people thought you were crazy, but you weren't the only one that thought that. There was a recent study that came out of Forrester.
Yeah. So apparently there's at least 395 other people who are marketers who agree with me, and they ranked a bunch of digital things that brands could do in terms of their effectiveness, and these brand leaders ranked Facebook marketing last. And I think that's a couple of things. It's number one, the tightening of the algorithm that's caused it so brands cannot, regardless of the quality of their content, reach a really large portion of their fan base. And that's really frustrating. And the volume of visits where we've been told to spend more is making people upset because the ads don't work. They just don't perform, in part because why people are on Facebook. They're not on Facebook to buy the way they might be if you retarget them right after they're on your website. I mean, it's just a different part of where your head is at. But I've heard some things, even from some people at Facebook saying, wait, you're saying, don't give us any money? And I'm not. We should advertise on Facebook in the proper way, but for that to still make sense, Facebook has to make some changes, and they need to start making them now to expose more content organically. And there's lots of reasons they need to do that, but because the people who pay their bills are really getting frustrated with it.
Yeah, definitely. If they're not going to make an effective way of reaching people that doesn't annoy them,
right,
then those dollars are going to go elsewhere.
Well, and partly they're a victim of their own promises. I mean, the initial Facebook promise, never necessarily stated, was build a fan base and communicate with them. And over the last year, they've twice taken that away and tightened it up to make it harder and harder to communicate organically, and instead sort of put their hand out. And that's not the way it should work. And particularly when those ads aren't particularly effective. And so You know, there's things that it's just so obvious to me what they need to do in terms of speeding up the news feed and increasing the amount of content we all see. It makes Facebook more interesting for the users, and they can show more ads without going away from their ratio. They recently acknowledged that their ratio was 1 ad per 20 newsfeed items. And so, well, if you want to make more money without breaking your 1 in 20, show more newsfeed items. And if you show more newsfeed items, brands get more organic exposure. So everyone would be happy if they did that. So I'm really sort of perplexed that this isn't happening.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how it shapes up. That does it for this week. You can get the book now, Amazon, paperback and Kindle. And
apparently iBookstore is coming soon, but they're apparently slower to process these things than Amazon.
Yes, keep an eye out for that as well. You can subscribe to our weekly email blast at ignitesocialmedia.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at IgniteSMA.